Why do I push inventory deals so hard on this channel? Well, the answer is really, really simple. It's because they are some of the best deals in Houston for a new construction home. It's the place and it's that sweet spot where you can get into a neighborhood for a much lower price per square foot than you would if you were building that same exact home. Case in point, this one that I'm gonna show you today by Newmark Homes, where we have already pre-negotiated this one down to about 30K under the base price and still getting you closing costs, still getting you appliance packages, still getting you a beautiful home that has wood floors on the first level, not any ugly tiles, not any cheap looking vinyl planks, real wood on the first level for about 30K under the base price. You can't do that on a build. And so today I want to hop up, show you from entry level all the way on up to a little bit more closer to that estate style, and just showing you the insane deals that you can get on the inventory homes. If that sounds good, stay tuned. So up first, we have this beautiful Newmark home. Bluebell plan is the same as the model home in Meridiana in the 40-foot section. They currently have it listed online at $397. I was able to talk them down to $370. With some closing costs and appliances and blinds, okay? All right, so let's get into it. So off the front, you do have a secondary bedroom. And I actually got a text from Adrian. He's the new sales counselor out here. I believe Miss Renee that I showed y'all on the last one. I think she actually retired. And so Adrian has been the guy out here since she left. And I got a text from Adrian like, man, I got some deals. Come check me out. And I actually toured some. I toured this exact one with my clients, and I actually thought that we were gonna go with this one because I did in fact get them to go down on price, right? I got them to go down way below kind of where they were or where they wanted to be from a number standpoint. However, we did find them a layout that kind of suited their needs for growth of their family and all the other things that they wanted a little bit better than this one, right? However, now that is your gain, because look at this. I just love a Newmark, man. Cabinets to the top. This is that custom DNA that they give you from being a part of Frederick Douglass. I'm just playing Frederick Harris. Newmark is an old custom home builder that eventually went into like more low volume boutique sales. And so whenever Newmark pops up in a neighborhood, is usually pretty special because they're not everywhere. And they're definitely gonna bring the style and the glam. But yeah, back to the story. So I was touring this past week, and I really thought this was gonna be the one. Like we saw this one a couple times. We got people taking videos. We're FaceTiming family members, and then we ended up going another direction. But I looked at that and I said, YouTube, we got an opportunity. For those of y'all that are watching the channel, we got an opportunity to come in here and get a steal. You know, this one as a base plan, before you do land, before you do any structural changes, before you do any upgrades on the interior, the base plan for this, I believe, is $395. And so they have it listed online right at base price. And we were actually able to come in, and with the relationship that I had built with Adrian, he actually was a salesperson for Brightland and now DRB Homes out in Rosenberg, and we worked together out there a little bit. And he upgraded to Newmark, man. So I was happy to see him. I said, hey, brother, welcome to the hood, man. So I told him I would come back and put it on the channel and try to help him get this one sold. But yeah, some of the things that are upgraded in here. So if you were to come in here, this is going to be a level 2, level 3 countertop, right? You're spending money for that. Taking countertops up to the ceiling, that's an upgrade for most builders. You're spending money for that. Having the black hardware package throughout the house, you're spending money for that. Having the wood floors in here, not a laminate, not a vinyl, not a tile. You're spending a lot of money for this, okay? One of the prettiest inventory builders that you'll ever see is typically going to be Highland Homes in Newmark. They just do something to where they make my job easier on inventories, because you don't feel like you gotta, there's a little bit of a disappointment that people that have good money and kind of want a more customized approach, oftentimes if they go the inventory route, they feel like they have to get something like super ugly that they're gonna then have to put a bunch of money in to after the fact to fix it up to make it really look really nice. And my argument with that is, hey, maybe spend a little bit more for that inventory home to go to a nicer builder like a Newmark, like a Highland, like a Weston, where you're gonna spend a little bit more money to get an inventory home. However, it's gonna be a much prettier start. You're gonna get much prettier finishes, much more upgraded stuff, because you're going to a more high-end builder versus some of the more well-known kind of national builders like a KB Homes. And no shade to them. You are wherever you are. I've sold a lot of KB. I've sold a lot of Lennar. I've sold a lot of DR Hortons. But there's just there's a noticeable kind of like step up in quality and just overall feel of a home when you go to a more higher end builder for their inventory. And so it doesn't mean that just because you didn't get to customize it, you are going to get something that's super ugly that you're not going to feel like you can make it home. There are builders that absolutely do this. And a lot of times when we go to the design center, and I know this, a lot of my people will pick stuff exactly like this. And you're just paying the most that anybody will ever pay for it because you're building it ground up. So save that money, catch you a pretty one in inventory, and go on down the road. And some of the reason why something like this could fall, I mean, look, tiles all the way to the ceiling. You got the super shower option in here. Of course, countertop. You come in here, decent little closet for a house that is this size, just only about 2,200 square feet. But great starter home option. But the reason why something like this would sit for a couple months to make this want to come down is just the overall price point in the neighborhood like this. So inventory is truly meant for the people that have their ducks in a row, that have their finances in order, that are ready to make a decision. Inventory is truly set up for those to thrive, because we can come in ready. We don't need help. We don't need assistance to kind of make things happen. We can talk with a little bit more vibrato and get things done because we are ready, and the builder wants to get off of that inventory. Now I'll go back out before we finish upstairs. I'll kind of show you some of the reason why I think this one is sitting a little bit longer than some of their neighbors on the street. Some of that is because in this section you have Highland Homes. A lot of Highland Homes builders will do the white brick, and in neighborhoods like this we have restrictions. So they took a white stucco next to a white siding, next to a white brick, across the street white bricks and creams, right? And so this one had to be like a creamy brown kind of combo, which if you were building it, right? And the people that I actually toured were just like, I don't really like how the exterior looks juxtaposed to the white and blacks, or the white, the super stark white and the dark grays, any of these kind of more contrasty, more modern looks. The exterior also plays a role in that, right? And so what I asked my clients was, hey, for 30,000 in savings, can you deal with what the exterior looks like? Their answer was, that's getting pretty close to a yes. We ended up finding one that had better space for them, so the ultimate answer was no. But that's some of the stuff that you're going to have to ask yourself when you're dealing with inventory, because they're going to pick things that aren't upgrades in cost to them, because they know that they're going to have to ultimately reduce them. Somebody like me that sells a lot of inventory homes in the neighborhood is going to be like, hey, I sold one last month at X. I know you can do this, and drop the price, right? And so it's kind of a battle where they're going to give you not the worst lots, but they're going to be some of the least desirable lots that you'll have. You'll be in the middle of the street. You're not going to get typically something that's overlooking like a lake, or having something that's no back neighbors. Those are the ones that go super fast, because those are rare. More times than not, you're going to get maybe not your top choice for how the exterior looks, maybe not your top choice for how big the yard is, but the stuff inside is usually going to be upgraded once you kind of step up to this price point of a builder caliber, and you're just going to get a really solid home to start your family's journey into getting equity and appreciation in Houston. And so definitely the way to go, in my opinion, 95% of the time, is to find you an inventory. I've been doing this full time for a while, and even before then, when I got my license, I've had people build and buy all over the Houston metro over the last 7 years or so, 7 to 8 years. And when I say that everybody that bought 5 to 7 years ago has either moved or is talking to me about moving, no matter how much they spent on the home, building it and paying the most you ever will for the land, the most you ever will for the plan, the most you ever will for the structural changes and cosmetic, just makes a little less sense when the data there is saying that most people move. It used to be every 5 years. With how things are going in the economy now, I know that it's kind of pushed out to 7 to 10-ish. But most people aren't like their parents these days. They're not getting one house and staying in that thing 30 years and they're just like, I'm gonna pay this thing off and I'll be done with it. Most people aren't like that these days, okay? And so for anybody that's toured with me, I'm never gonna be like, don't spend your money, but I'm gonna be like, hey, what is the goal of this house? Is this the forever home? If you have any hesitation about this being your forever home, I'm almost always gonna be like, bro, then you don't need to be building this. You need to be finding something that works for your needs in the neighborhood that you like in inventory, because you're gonna absolutely pay the most that anybody will ever pay for that same exact plan, okay? But yeah, this is the Bluebell plan. Base price around I think it's like $393 is the base price. They currently have it listed at $397. This is an upgraded home. I showed you the wood floors, showed you the upgraded countertops and cabinets, showed you the upgraded tiles here in the laundry. I showed you the upgraded fixtures. The only thing that they didn't do on this one that would be a traditional upgrade would be a range hood with a built-in appliance set for the kitchen. They did a slide in, so that's some of the trade-offs. Keep in mind some of the corners that was cut and why things might be sitting, right? All of these things were things that were kind of called out by my clients as stuff that they didn't quite love. But you have to sit down and say, and ask yourself, is it worth $30,000 to build, to get a slide-in range and a range hood? Ain't no range hood, ain't no range hood and oven and cooktop worth $30,000 to me. But at the end of the day, you have to pay the bills. You got to know what makes sense for you and your family. And if something doesn't work, it doesn't work. But let's find you something in that inventory buy that does work, right? But already we're out the gate damn near $30K off of the listed price as well as the base price. And things are gonna get only crazier from here. All right, so we have a little bit of a shakeup for the channel. It's been a while since I've been over in this section. We are in the Serenity 55 plus community. For those of y'all that didn't know, yes, Meridiana has its own 55 plus community that has their own amenity center. They have their own pools. They have their own amenities that I don't have access to except during the day when they got the gate open, right? So it's an extra perk. I believe your amenities bump up from the standard like $16.50 in a gated section, because this is also gated. It steps up to, I want to say like 22 or 2300. It's not a huge jump to say you get a whole extra amenity center. When they originally opened this section, and I can verify this for y'all if y'all are still interested, they had their own event coordinator that was separate from everybody else. It was truly like its own community inside the community. And in addition to having this, you had access to everything else, right? So these people actually have the most amenities of anybody in Meridiana. But right now they got one of the best deals of anybody in Meridiana. And I'm about to show you that from Perry Homes right now. All right, shout out to Perry Homes, my guy Jerry and May, Sandeep, everybody that has helped me in my career here in Meridiana. Shout out to Jerry specifically today for giving me his key to let me get in here. And shout out to my client that is looking in this neighborhood. I told you I'd be over here watching it for you. I told you I would. So we're gonna test to see if you're still watching the channel. But yeah, so this is a 2504 plan. I believe this should be basically the flipped version of their model. So we'll go and check it out. We have that first office. A little storage, really tall ceilings. That's one of the things that you just notice about anytime you kind of walk into a Perry home, no matter what footprint this is basically going to be a 50 foot, between 45 and a 50 foot plan for them. And I also like showing it with the lights off because you can see all of the natural light that they just let in this home. Light there. 2-car garage, tankless water heater. This would be a little mud area. You slide on through, and then you got the open concept Perry vibes that y'all know and love, right? Upgraded finishes, integrated appliances, range hood, two-tone cabinetry, which is a little bit of an upgrade for most builders. Really nice. All right, check out this little wing over here. wood look tile throughout all of the main corridors and main spaces, heavy traffic spaces, and then you have carpet in the bedrooms. 8-foot doors, nice molding, all of that stuff is standard. Really tall ceilings. It's a Perry, man. It's nice, man. I sell a lot of Perrys. I would say Perry's probably like number 3 on my probably number 3 on my overall sales for my career. They are number 1 for my builds. So a lot of my people that kind of get to that phase of life where they know that this is going to be like the forever home and we're going to be here for at least 10 to 15. Most of those people build Perrys just because of the reputation that they have for the warranty that they maintain and service in-house. It's not something that they ship out to someone after you close. I've had clients that bought 6 years ago now, and storm comes through, they're out of warranty on all of that stuff, and shingle, siding, brick, anything that they needed help with, Perry Homes basically was like, hey, we'll find it for you and we'll help you do it, even down to sending the contractor out, right? So they really believe in having you be a client for life, and a lot of my clients that build are previous Perry homeowners where they had maybe an inventory for that first or that second home, and now that this is the final home, a lot of those people are Perry people, okay? So it speaks well to their culture, their company culture, and how they truly want you to feel happy with the product and want you to stay with them forever and grow with them and downsize and do all those things. And it looks like this is an opportunity for you to downsize a little bit with them in the 55 plus community. But if you didn't want to be in the OGN auntie and uncle section, they do have normal 55 foot sections throughout Meridiana as well. This probably is one of the largest product lines for Perry Homes that I've ever seen, where we've had from like 40 foot up to 100 foot wide over here. I'm sorry, 90 foot wide. It's just a crazy amount of products that you have here. Show you outside at this phase of life. I'm assuming that you might want to garden a little bit, but you're not trying to cut a lot of yard. And so this one is definitely eating up most of the yard space, with this being a big 1-story. But the side yard is kind of chunky, so you still might have to have a yard guy for you, but oversized patio, pretty standard on this plan. This is a pretty normal thing to see in inventory. Got you with the gas connect, multiple plugs for TVs and entertainments and outdoor kitchens and things. So we've seen the office, 3 bedrooms. We got a primary left. Another thing that my OG aunties and uncles love, that are a little bit more seasoned than me, they like a fireplace. Only need it 4 days a year, but hey, looks like you got it in this inventory home. Then you come into your primary suite. Really nice size. Tons of natural light with these big windows, almost floor to ceiling windows in here. No peekaboo on this one, just based on the plan. We got your shower off to the side with a little bit of a bench. And then we have your split vanity. We got a little baby door over here. Probably for linen, yep. Got a little linen closet where you handle your business. And then still, they have a split closet on this one. And this is not, again, this is like 2,500 square feet. And you still get a really nice size split closet. But yeah, who do I think this plan is perfect for? First off, I think it's perfect for my client. You know who you are. I'm gonna be expecting a text off after this video now. I think it's perfect for someone who has family in the area, but you don't want an old home. So if you got kids that have your grandkids now in a Pearland area, Rodeo Palms, Meridiana, hopefully in Meridiana, because we love it here in Meridiana. But you got family in the area, and you're kind of at that phase of life where you don't want to be in what I would call gen pop, right? You don't want to be where on my street, for example, we're in a gated section, but we have younger kids that ride like little electric scooters, and they're on their little electric little dirt bikes, and they're just outside in the street, just kind of playing and making noise. You got my daughter in the backyard screaming, playing magic games with my wife. You're in that phase where you don't want to necessarily hear that, right? You're in that retirement phase of life, and you just like, I just want to chill, be on my back porch, get my coffee, live my life with a little bit of peace. That is who this is designed for. Now, this section used to be run by, what were they called? Tri-Coast. And I think they actually might have gone out of business, right? And so Perry stepped up as one of the largest land stake owners in this community and said that they would step up and take on finishing out this section. The issue that I see with Perry is that they're basically selling a 50-foot plan, which is one of their more expensive price per square foot in Meridiana. And so I think if you're looking in this section, inventories are going to be a steal for you because you're going to get them to come way down. And in today's example, this house was originally listed at $576. You want to guess where we at right now? Give you a couple seconds. Put it down in the comments what you think we are right now. If you guess that we are now under 450,000, you would be right. All right, we're at 449,900. Okay, by $100. Right. So that is a nearly, what is that? Almost 130K drop just for being on the market a few months. Okay, and what tends to happen in my neighborhood of Meridiana, and I think it's why I get an opportunity to help so many of y'all move here and find really great deals for people looking on the south side of Houston, is because every month here basically means that the builder is about to have to sacrifice 10 to 15,000. Every month that thing is basically on the MLS and it's a finished product, every month it sits, the builder knows, man, I'm about to have to drop this price another 15 to 20,000 just to make it make sense, right? And that's because builders like Highland Homes have a 50-foot section that's also gated. And so they're gonna be competing and battling with all of these other builders. Weston is in a 50-foot gated. And we gotta battle with these other contenders that are gonna push that price point down to make this price originally seem a little bit silly. But this price, or this house at 450, that's a steal. Other thing I know about this is I've talked to Sandeep, I've talked to May, I've talked to Jerry, I've talked to Drew. Every one of those inventory homes, I can guarantee you we can still get it lower, right? Because they know that I'm bringing serious people and they want to get off of it. They don't want these houses to sit another 2, 3, 4 months, and then now we're at 430 for a house like this, right? So that is an advantage for you. But yeah, they got a few more in here. They had one that was listed at 581 that's now at 480. They had one that was 592 that's now at 480. We had another one that was 593 now at 480. A lot of them are basically coming down to that realistic 450 to 480-ish kind of price point where I thought they probably should have been originally, but that is a benefit to you. And as I'm looking around here, I'm just seeing full cabinets wrapping around. We got the extra hutch. We just got upgrades in here. So if you built this house the exact same, there's no way that you would be at 450. No way. No way you would be at 450, right? And so that is what I mean by inventory steal, but in this case, for my seniors. So if you got any questions about Serenity, you want to look at some inventory over here, definitely hit me up, but we got more to see today. Now, for those of y'all that have the more customizable dream with getting your new construction home, another reason why I love inventory, because inventory is not a one-size-fits-all thing. Inventory is not just that home that's been sitting, like I've shown y'all earlier in the video, for months, and then they just reduce the price. An inventory home is a spec home built and started by the builder, right? With no influence from a direct client. That is an inventory home. So, although we missed this one, I've sold dozens and dozens and dozens of homes just like this one that were in this phase where we could still come in and pick the flooring, we could still come in, pick the cabinets, pick the backsplash, where we still had some level of customization because we caught it early enough, right? This is that super sweet spot for my people that know they want a little bit more of a customizable take on the home that they're about to buy, and they want to put their little stamp on it before they have to come in and have a contractor come in and do all of these things aftermarket, potentially voiding warranties and things of that nature. If we can catch something like this early enough, you can put your stamp on it. And I'm telling you, that is a sweet spot because it's in a spot where it's ugly enough to where a person that's not ready or doesn't see the value won't be ready to make an offer on it. And that gives us just enough separation to make that builder wonder, make them worry about it, make them think, hey, when this thing gets on the MLS, will it sell at what we have it at? And that little doubt and the relationships that I've built in this neighborhood and all around Houston, that little doubt is enough to get us to put an offer in below what they're asking and get it approved, okay? Because they know, as we talked about in the last segment, pretty much every month that thing sits is basically like a 20K drop. It just kind of is what it is numbers wise. We are in a space in Houston where we have 5 times the amount of inventory that we had during the COVID period. People know that there are a lot of inventory all over the metro, and so it's come with your number, come with what makes sense for the neighborhood. And builders are way more open to doing that and to talking numbers right now because they know that inventory is everywhere, right? If you can accomplish the goal of getting them in the neighborhood they want at a price that they want, buyers are signing under those circumstances, right? This is another opportunity. Foundation has already been started. So what have you already missed and what have you skipped? You've missed the permitting time frame. So you don't have to wait that extra month to 2 months before stuff gets started. You've already have a design budget allotted in to the price of that home. Most times builders like Highland Homes on this kind of price point will be somewhere between 30 and 50K of pricing that they have for cosmetics of making this thing look nice, right? It's not gonna be model home crazy, but it's gonna be nice, right? And so you can come in and capture that 30 to 50K that they were gonna already put in that home without having to go to the design center or without having to pay the design center fee. And you can pick cabinets, floorings, countertops, tiles, backsplashes, all of those things. And if you stay within that budget, you just got an upgraded home with design center focused without the design center payment, okay? So I sell tons of these in this neighborhood of people that don't quite want that inventory that's just been sitting that's kind of brown and kind of ugly, whatever. I catch a lot of these and I get, man, I would say I probably get, this is no exaggeration, I probably get 3 to 5 of these calls a week just in my neighborhood of, hey, I got this thing that just started. We're in foundation, we're in drywall phase, we're in frame phase. You can still pick XYZ. And the amount of times that I have said, hey, clients, I know you were looking at my neighborhood for a plan that has 4 beds, 3 baths, and this, we can still pick finishes. And the amount of people where I've gotten them a lower price and they still pick the design that they wanted in an inventory home, I can't even count them on 2 hands anymore, right? That happens that frequently. And this is a sweet spot for my people that are just hell bent on doing a more customized product that is catching it early enough in phase where we can still be a little bit more aggressive on the price, because the closer this gets to being finished, the more they know that they're gonna have an easier time selling it. Most people can't come in here, see all this stuff everywhere, and make a clear-minded decision on this is something that they would actually want. And they know that they're gonna have to wait this extra 2 months to get it on the market, right? That's an opportunity for us to get in there, swoop in, get this thing at a lower price, and still give you an opportunity to pick some of the finishes. I just wanted to show you that inventory is not just this old house that's been sitting there for 6 months. It's oftentimes that house that was started before you knew about it, and now we have an opportunity to swoop in and get a deal. And then we have something like this that ends up just being a perfect storm of a lot of things, right? We have the custom home builder that is building on a footprint that is not their norm in the metro. They're used to building stuff a lot bigger. They're in a old section in kind of the middle of the street with bigger stuff that's surrounding it, making this more of a smaller unicorn. And what does all of that end up being for you? Amazing cost savings, okay? So we're gonna go through this Drees Custom Home that they did in inventory. We'll talk a little bit about the stats as we go through. And the price drop on this one is also pretty crazy, guys. We got the 8-foot doors, we got nice trim. Not a true in-law suite. On this one, they got this shower set up in here. Tile to the top though. Mud set shower, just one vanity. Kind of like a guest wing, how they have this set up where those two, or these 2 bedrooms would utilize that bath. And how do I know about this one? I had, again, people tell me what they want. I try to find it in an efficient way, something that we can save them a little money and give them the spaces that they ask for. And this one crossed my path as one that I ended up touring, and then we ended up finding one that was a little bit better for them in the newer section. But this was one of the options that we were looking at, and at the time, it was probably about $50K higher when I toured this. So to see what this price is now in a 65-foot section from the custom home builder of Drees is a little bit wild. But again, some of the things that make this one a little less desirable and kind of pulling it into your range, as we talked about a little bit ago, is that this is probably the 2nd or 3rd smallest home in this section. This one's gonna come in right around 2,800 square feet, which by size would put you at the same size as a 50-foot product, right? So I'm not sure why that occurred. I have some guesses, and I think a lot of it was for the price per square foot that they were accustomed to building at. Because I think when they opened this community Drees has some of the bigger lots. So when they move down into the price point to try to compete a little bit more with Highland Homes, when they took over those lots from the previous builder, who I think was actually Tri Point, when they took over those lots, they were kind of in over their heads a little bit with trying to give glam and go small. And so it's been a little bit of a mismatch, right? The 65 foot has been a little bit of a struggle, and their 55 foot has been a little bit of a struggle for them because, again, they're used to building mansions. You know, one of the biggest houses that I've ever sold in this community, nearly 6,000 square feet, was a Drees. They're used to building way bigger things in the gated 90, 100 foot sections. And so when they had to pare it down into these spaces, I think their cost per square foot would have had them be way higher than Highland Homes in here. And I know I sold some builds that were cheaper than the inventory stuff that they had in here at the time. And I also sold some inventories in this section for Highland that were cheaper than the inventory for Drees, right? And I love Drees. They've been a solid builder for my client family. No drama. Everybody's loving their Drees homes that they've bought over here so far. No major warranty issues. Everybody seems to be working with them. So it's just one of those things where perfect storm of them being in a product line that they're not the greatest at, being in a section where they got people that are building bigger homes at nice quality for less, them being one of the smallest footprints trying to compete from a dollar standpoint, and then this one just sits. Now, I don't quite love the stone, right? But for the person that would have been buying in this section, this would have been a more affluent, older section, and this would have kind of matched with their aesthetic when they probably started this a couple years ago, right? But these are all the reasons why we can step in and say, you know what? I need this a little bit lower, right? Built-in appliances, cooktops, range hood, all the stuff. Elegant cabinets, damn near to the top, stuff that you can't even reach, right? They do all the stuff, little pocket nook office back here, or you can use it as a little dry bar. Whatever you want, right? But on a 65 foot, and I tell y'all this all the time on the channel, there's certain things that I'm expecting on a 65 foot. I'm expecting to have 4 beds at least, 3.5 baths at least, an office, a dining space, and a movie room. And I'm short a space, right? I'm short. So if I can see that your dining is floating in the middle like it does often on big 1-stories, if I can concede that, I should still have an office and a movie room and 4 beds and 3.5 to 4 baths. I should have that, right? Giving you the sliders, outdoor patio is a nice size, tall ceilings. They do gas. They set you up for an outdoor kitchen, so they got gas, water, and power over here. They're doing all the stuff. They're doing the stuff, right? But at the original price that they had it at, this ain't gonna cut it to say, I still don't have a movie room. I still don't have a flex space. I still don't have a dining room separate. I'm down spaces, okay? Come here. It's your primary bath. And this one has some pretty good finishes. We got upgraded carpets in here. We got the 8-foot door package in here. Drees is one of those builders that does spray foam insulation. If you are getting a builder that does that, definitely have your inspector do moisture readings and testing just to make sure that you're not walking into something that has a mold potential. We are in South Houston, so we are gonna be humid, we are gonna be windy, we are gonna be a little bit damper than most places, just with the climate that we have here, and that doesn't necessarily play the best with spray foam insulation if everything is not insulated properly and has the right ventilation throughout the attics and all the spaces that it is. But assuming that you take my advice and get everything inspected, you should be good. And this is a beautiful home, man. But for when this came out as, the original price on this was in the sixes. And like I told you, I saw it at like $550, which would have been a deal for this section at that point in time, comparing it to other 60-foot, 55 to 60-foot plans that didn't have the same amount of spaces, mostly competing with builders like Perry Homes, because Highland is gonna give you 4 beds, a bath, 4 beds, 3 baths, 3.5 baths, movie room and office on their 50-foot, right? So I know that can be done. So when I come up to a 65-foot and I don't see that, that's some of the reason why this would be sitting, all right? But when this first came out, it was originally like $650. Then I would say mid last year, it dropped down to $630. When I saw it like 2 or 3 months ago, it was like $550. And now we are all the way down to $499, $990, okay? So we have dropped, man, we have dropped like 130K in the span of like 4 or 5 months, okay? And so that is the kind of deal that you can only get in inventory. Now, these are things that you gotta ask yourself. Who is this perfect for? Would this be perfect for my family and how we use our home now that we added the media space? No, we wouldn't be able to go back and go down a space. That the attic that we reclaimed, shout out to my guy Julio. If you need a Julio, let me know. We converted our secondary attic that backed up to our guest room into a movie room because we had basically the same number of spaces. We had 4 beds and an office, and we were short the media room. We added the media room in this space. It doesn't appear that we can do that here. So you would be stuck with this space. But who do I think this is perfect for? I think this is perfect for some of my older clientele. Shout out to my OGs, uncles, and aunties. About 50% of y'all on the channel are 50 and older, right? So love y'all, shout out to y'all, appreciate y'all. I think it would be perfect for them. This is a perfect, like glampaw kind of house where you come over, it's real nice, you got room to spread out, you don't have stairs, you don't really need a movie room. You're gonna put your TV over your fireplace, you're gonna have your little office to do stuff that the elder statesmen do at this point, checking out your stocks, checking out your retirement accounts, and then you're gonna go on with your day. You're gonna go and do these beautiful amenities. You're gonna walk around your lakes. You're gonna do your little garden in the back. That's who I think this is perfect for. If you're a growing family, but you know that this isn't the forever, this would be a great kind of like mid-tier home because you can get a 65-foot product for the price of a 50-foot product right now, okay? Now, we have some contenders with that. I've shown you a lot of Weston 50-foot on this channel. I've shown you a lot. We just left Highland's 50-foot section that we were just in where I showed you the benefits of kind of going with an inventory in that situation, right? So you're competing with that and you have to decide, do you want something that's a little bit more narrow and gated, or do you want something that's a little bit more wide and doesn't necessarily have quite all the spaces that you want, but you get that width and that grandness of the section that you're actually in, okay? These are all questions that we go through when we're out here touring. But you have been watching this video for damn near an hour now, and I ain't got a call, text, email, nothing from you, and you're kind of breaking my heart. And so I'm gonna give you an opportunity to call. I'll drop the number on the screen right now. I'll also throw a QR code on the screen that you can take out your phone, scan that. I know about 85% of y'all watch this on TV now. So shout out to y'all on this beautiful day, checking me out, spending time with me and my family. Appreciate it. But yeah, hit me up. Let me know how I can be of assistance to you, man. I am, and this is no boosting, I am the #1 selling new construction agent in Meridiana, okay? Those are the numbers. And so I deal with all of these people on a day in, day out basis. I am pretty much Mr. Inventory here, okay? Most of my clients, I would say 75% of my clients catch inventory at various phases. I've caught some steals that have sat for a while. I've caught some that just broke ground and we got the design center for free. I've done all of the above in this neighborhood. And so when I tell you that inventory is the way to go and is the best deal, I'm speaking with full confidence because I've sold more than anybody in this neighborhood, okay? And so having said that, if you want me to be that go-to, that resource for you, work out these deals, everything is negotiable, right? It has to make sense for the builder, but as someone that sells a lot in this neighborhood, I pretty much know what makes sense for the builders because I'm the one that's often crafting those offers that get accepted, okay? Just today, I was able to get my clients, they're advertising $50K in incentives. I was able to get them damn near 60 in incentives and blinds and appliances and closing costs and additional money to pay out their lease. That's the kind of stuff that I'm having happen on Inventory Homes. But whether or not you want to go inventory in my neighborhood, if you're looking in Katy, you're looking in Rosenberg, you're looking in Conroe, you're looking in Porter, you looking in Magnolia, you looking in Cypress, no matter where you're looking, I got these relationships all over the Houston metro. And literally today, as we were touring and filming today, the David Weekly, shout out to Brittany in Artavia, was out here in my neighborhood. And I was like, what you doing in my neighborhood, right? The relationships span all over the metro. And the first thing that she said when she gave me a hug, said Happy New Year, she was like, I need you to come up there and do an update because I got some heat for you, okay? That kind of thing happens all over the metro. I get these calls and these emails every day to get you the best deal. But how do I know if it's a deal for you if you don't tell me what kind of house that you actually need, right? So call, text, hit that carrier pigeon, hit me up. I want to be that resource. If you go out there and tour solo, that's fine, no problem. Put my name down. There's going to be a guest card that most of these people are going to give you to fill out, say that Aaron sent you or that you saw a video from me, I'm the reason that you're there. They'll hit me up and let me do the magic of talking numbers. The one thing that I can say is if you're gonna go solo, avoid talking any numbers, because what happens the most often is you'll go in there, you'll be comfortable, you'll love the house, you'll be saying stuff like, oh yeah, I'm already pre-approved for 600, so anything under 600 will work. And then that salesperson hears that and they're just like, oh, we can go them to the max. Whereas if you give them my info, they call me, we can say, hey, yeah, they're already pre-approved, you know, we can make some things work, but we're looking for a deal. I'm already pivoting them way lower than you were gonna do by yourself. So I don't want you to miss out on thousands in savings just because you got in there and you got a little yappy, okay? But go out, tour, put my info down, have them hit me up. The best way to get in touch with me is gonna be to call this number. I'm telling you, I got now trust me, don't shoot the messenger. I got an AI assistant that has been taking y'all's calls, booking calls for me. They're an extension of me. Try the number out, give them a call. They'll book the consultation. They'll do everything to booking the appointment for us to talk. If you feel creepy about talking to the robots like that, there's gonna be, again, a QR code on the screen or a link in the description. I look forward to hearing from you, man, and I look forward to being that go-to for you. But we had deals that were 30K under base price. We had deals that were 50K under base price and over 100K off of the current list price, right? We had deals galore from entry level all the way on up to the estate section, but truly, was it enough for you to see that inventory is the way to go?